solid gains across all Asian indices.
Excess supply in oil markets has now passed its peak.
The series low of 9116 and the first day high of 9533. These are two numbers 400 points apart. We are somewhere in the middle of this 400 points.
The firm Carlyle is going to pick up 74% in Sequence Scientific, which is basically a pure animal health company.
1% higher, 100 points. Sensex up 341.
This meeting could also, in a way, form part of the run-up to the measures that are likely to be announced.
Global tailwinds continue to be very supportive.
This will mean lesser call drop, this will mean better network, this will mean better quality in terms of voice and data usage as well.
Markets, of course, are up 100 points.
There are reports suggesting that Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and General Atlantic together are considering a stake buy in Jio Platforms.
A leading car manufacturer would be a Tesla rather than a Ford or a GM or a Mercedes.
The market is up about 90 points.
All told, this has been a very disappointing day if you are a bull. And I don't say that because the market's cut its gains. It's in fact just about 58 points on the Nifty. The Bank Nifty is down 230 points. That's full 1 percentage points. And today, what makes the action from the top disappointing is that you've seen this play out in some of the large names. To be fair, this is something that you have seen globally as well. I mean, if you take a look at a couple of markets, a couple of Asian markets actually after starting much in the green, moved in the red. Europe right now is slightly in the red. So that way there's a bit of a, I mean, not by much, but the global rally has not been as strong as it looked like in the morning. Even Dow futures have slipped. So you could argue that there's a bit of a global headwind. But the fact that the market is not being able to sustain the gap ups is clearly visible. It's been visible for 2 days now. Let's see. Surabhi, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. Yes, I was looking at all of those markets as well because, Europe is not kept in step with the sort of euphoria that we were seeing across Asia, and Dow futures are now back at the flat line, slightly negative actually. But Anuj, what's the sense here? Because we were having this discussion even in the morning that banks are going to play a very, very critical role. So this reversal that we've got on the Bank Nifty, do you think it's an ICICI Bank-led scare? Is there something more to it? Or does it simply confirm the kind of weakness that we saw last week, which was basically the theme of undoing the excess of April, as you've been saying?
It's a very tough question, honestly speaking, and I don't have an answer to that. I think today's market move has been as confusing as it can be. It's easy to say that, look, we said that there's a 200-point band, the market will trade within that, and it's in the middle of that band. That doesn't help anyone. The fact is that this is a market which would have triggered stop losses both ways today. Because just see the intraday chart on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, Surabhi. So that way it's a tough market to trade. Having said that, the Nifty is still inching higher, right? Even on Friday it went up. Today also it's gone up. So highs and lows have moved up. But yes, this is not a market in which you chase. If you're chasing this market, I think you're losing out. And that's happened 2 or 3 times now. On the Bank Nifty, I think it's clearly now collapsing. In fact, as we speak, it's now down 300 points. In fact, the Nifty also is being held up by Reliance largely. So in that sense, I think the market still has not made up its mind whether it wants to break that 91.16 or 95.30 on the upside. At some point it will resolve itself. But I think today's price action has clearly been disappointing. Unless things change in last 1 hour. If things change in last 1 hour, perhaps you could still say, okay, it was fine. But the way the Bank Nifty has slipped, and not just ICICI Bank now, even some of the other stocks, Kotak, IndusInd Bank, Axis Bank, if you see, from the morning highs, they've slipped quite a bit. So that way it's been slightly disappointing if you are a bull today.
Oh yes, absolutely. A near 5% cut on ICICI Bank right now. And barring banks, let's also watch out for Lever, because Lever is also now dragging the market on the lower side. However, there are lots of auto stocks which are the big theme of the day, where there's plenty of green. So we're going to get down and discuss all of this. Here is what's in fact lined up on Closing Bell for you today. Slightly volatile day of trade. The bias is now creeping in on the negative side, though there's still some gain on the benchmark indices. Private financials are the big drag. The Nifty Bank in negative territory. The mid-cap index, however, fares slightly better. So lots of opinion coming your way. How should investors navigate this volatile market? What is the best call in terms of portfolio allocation? Our alpha manager on the show today is Atul Bhole, who is Vice President and Fund Manager at DSP Mutual Fund. We're also going to be talking, of course, all the day's market trends, all the day's action. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com, Deepak Shinoy of Capital Mind, and Hemang Jani of Motilal Oswal Financial Services. They will be weighing in on all the stock-specific action of the day. And then always good to have some technical perspective in times like these. So today we get chatting with Gautam Shah, founder and chief strategist at Goldilocks Premium Research. They, by the way, won some interesting international awards. So we'll ask Gautam what his immediate and medium-term view is on the market. And along with all of that, of course, lots of trading ideas and stock advice coming in from our technical experts. We have Ashwini Gujral, Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Kaba joining in on that.
Okay, we'll start the show with that technical advice. Ashwini, Mitesh and Prakash joining us now. Good afternoon. Ashwini, what do you make of this Bank Nifty's slide would be an appropriate term to use now in the context of the kind of cues that we had and the kind of opening that we had. From the high point, we have slipped about, nearly 800 points on the Bank Nifty, 700 points thereabout. Your thoughts on index and your stock calls?
See, there's no question that the Bank Nifty is the weaker index, and I would think that this is now breaking down below the range that it was doing. About 18,900 is the lower end of the range, and it's basically Bank Nifty which punctured the Nifty rally as well. Now, is this the big rollover where markets start to break lows? That is still early to say. I think still 9100, 9150 is a distance away, and at best I would think that we are still in this ranging context. So upper end of the range is 9400. At 9400 the market failed, and it's quite likely we go to the lower end of the range, and then you possibly have some sort of upside happening. Having said that, individual stocks, Maruti is a buy with a stop of 4800, target of 5400. M&M Financial is a sell with a stop of 165, target of 150. And ICICI Bank is a sell with a stop of 332, target of 318.
Okay, that's interesting. So Ashwini is looking to sell down ICICI Bank further in the last hour. Let's also go across to Mitesh now, get his view. Mitesh, thanks for joining in. Good afternoon. First of all, would you open up a short trade now on the index if you're not already short? And then what's the stock advice?
Good afternoon. So we haven't done that, to be very honest. I think, we had a long trade taken yesterday, which got stopped out, and then today's trade on the long side again got stopped out at the cost to cost on the revised stop loss, because we did break above 93.70, went significantly higher, so we revised the stop loss at about 93.80. So, after brokerage, nothing is left practically. So it's still not a market which is breaking down, but it's a market which is failing to go on the upside, which means that, we might still consolidate a bit more. We'll define the ranges slightly, let the levels again with the downside at about 91.70, 90, while the upside will come in at about 9400. So this looks like a 230 point kind of a range. And on the stock specific side, we are trading still with more of long bias, prominently on pharma and auto names. That's where I think good momentum and the chart setup is seen. The stock call that I have right now, I have a buy on Escorts, which is stop at 751 for targets of 800, and Grasim has moved up in the last few minutes, but around 502 if you get it, 502, 503, buy with a stop at 495 for targets of 518.
Okay. I think we have Prakash as well now joining us. Prakash, hi, good afternoon. What would be your trades?
Good afternoon, Anuj. Well, so far the market for the last couple of days been opening higher and closing down. Now that's not very comforting, I would say that. So today is very, very confusing. So best is to avoid Nifty and Bank Nifty, rather stay short than go long here. Hero Motors looks good. Possibly we'll see an up move here to around 2,200 zones, stop below 2075. I also like ICICI Bank on the short side. Possibly we'll see it further slide to around 300 zones, stop about 330 should be okay. So one long, one short.
Okay, SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com. Gentlemen, thanks a lot for those strategies. We'll come back to you for the BTSC trades. And of course, Deepak Shinoy is also now joining us, founder of Capital Mind. Good afternoon, Ms. Tulsian. I wanted your thoughts first on this weakness in ICICI Bank and Bank Nifty in general. Your thoughts?
Anuj, if you see the weakness of about maybe 300 points, which now at Bank Nifty is ruling at, of this 200 points have been contributed by ICICI Bank. And if you see the delivery pattern in this last maybe about half an hour, 1 crore shares have been traded and maybe about 2 crore shares are seen to have been, still open during the day. And if I go by the open interest of 9 crore shares, that means that indicates that stock was definitely in an overbought zone ahead of the numbers, and that is seen to be happening or damaging the Bank Nifty at this moment. If you take the advanced decline of the Bank Nifty, 4 gainers, are contributing just 2 or 3 points to the Bank Nifty gain. But the main point which I observed, which is not bothering me of the weakness of this Bank Nifty is that in the morning it started with a negative reverse arbitrage or maybe negative premium of 65 points, which is now at about 25 points. So if you knock off the ICICI Bank weakness, which was warranted, maybe because of, if I go by the Q4 numbers, because psychologically people, if you go by the slippages and the higher provisioning, slippages of about 5,700 crore, extra provisioning of 2,700 crore, I don't think that is bothering at all. When I compare it with the Axis Bank, looking to the balance sheet size of about 6 lakh crore advances of Axis Bank and 7.5 lakh crore advances of ICICI Bank seem to be very much in place. And all other parameters, the highest NIM, and the asset quality growth and all sort of an increase in the retail advances are seen to be very much favorable. So maybe this could be just the winding up of the technical positions, and that has accelerated in the last maybe this 1 hour or so, as I've said, because the people have built up the position thinking that in the second half the things may start improving for ICICI Bank, but the bottoming out seemed to have taken place to a large extent in the ICICI Bank, and I think by end of the day it will get formed. So I'm not worried for the Bank Nifty weakness, because this has been, if you see the other losers contributing are HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, just to the extent of 30-40 points to the Bank Nifty fall. So this is a ICICI Bank centric weakness, which is largely because of the overbought position. But I think that looking to the results purely on fundamental basis, ICICI Bank warrants a buy at maybe a level of 320 or so by the investors.
As of now, absolutely no stability in the Bank Nifty. In fact, it's punching below the lows of the day, making fresh lows as we speak. 19,000 and 19,000 has gone on the Bank Nifty. Before I take the next question, actually with our next guest, Anuj, your thoughts, because there's this big, big selling pressure that's built up, and Bank Nifty is now struggling to hold on to 19,000. If this level goes, do you think it'll be a big added negative for the market?
Well, let's see, Surbhi. I think today's also because of this weakness in ICICI Bank. That's a large stock which is putting a lot of pressure on the market. So let's see. I think what will be interesting on the Bank Nifty is if we start to break. I think we've already done that. The series low on the Bank Nifty. Remember, Bank Nifty even on Friday had an outside day, which is it had made a higher high and a lower low. I think today also it's done almost something similar. So that way it's become a very volatile index. So this is a market which is trapping people. It's it's trapping on both sides. It's punishing those who are chasing breakouts or breakdowns. You're taking a trade on the other side. It's working. It's tough to say that or tough to execute that, I'm sure, but that's what's clearly visible, especially on the Bank Nifty.
Okay, the Bank Nifty now struggling, really struggling to hold on to that 19,000 mark. Well, we've spent a lot of time talking about the big weak pocket of the market. Let's move to the other side and talk about the strength. And the strength today is in the auto space. Almost every single big auto stock is still lined up on the upside. Tata Motors, Bajaj Auto, Hero, Maruti, Eicher, you name it, and they're all up there. Deepak Shenoy is also with us, joining in the conversation now. Deepak, good afternoon. So, I mean, I don't know what it is that's triggering this move in auto stocks, if it is just a quick trading sentiment play because at least some dealerships are opening, or, do you think this is a move that could have more legs to it? What's your thought? And would you buy auto stocks? Okay, I don't know if Deepak can hear us, but let's do one thing. Let's take a break on that note. We'll come back and continue this conversation on auto stocks. And of course, just a reminder, lots of opinion lined up for you as well. We get chatting with Gautam Shah on the technicals. We also have Atul Bhole of DSP Mutual Fund joining in the conversation, so keep it with us.